welcome back to Angling 360. And this is one of the videos you could class as by popular demand. The amount of messages we've had over the last, 6 or 7 months, maybe even longer, regarding the Bombarda setup. If you know how to set it up, that's great. You can stick a kettle and grab a beer. This video won't be for you. But for those who are unsure or not got a clue, like I was 2 years ago, and if it wasn't for Doogie over on Piscator UK YouTube channel, I kept seeing this thumbnail popping up with Bombarda Sea Trout, and I'll be honest, I skipped by it. I didn't know what it was, I wasn't interested. And then one day I watched it, and I'm glad I did, because it's changed the quality of sea trout fishing for me. Now after a couple of years of using it, Alex has now thought, actually there's something in that. It seems to produce bigger sea trout. Now, I'm going to say this straight away. We're quite reluctant to do these how-to videos. Never want to come across as know-it-alls, because we're not. So this is how how we go about setting up this rig. Now Alex is already set up good to go with the Bombarda. Now he's using a feeder rod. I'm using what was bought for the grayling, my float rod. Now, your choice of rod boils down to your affordability, doesn't it? Doesn't need to be a top end rod, which that is. I was lucky enough to get that on a good deal. Any rod that you're comfortable using with will do the job. I initially started off with my lure rod, but the reason why I moved to a longer rod was because the length of the rig with the Bombarda, when you're casting your lure rod, Bombarda, he's laughing, I'm obviously laughing, I've done it again. That was not meant. Oh shit.
Is that Bombarda how to?
Aye, a Bombarda how to. Damn it man, I was determined in my mind I wasn't going to do that. Shit. Right, we're not starting again.
It's catching on.
I know. If you look at Alex's recent Facebook post for the Sea Trout, you'll see that it's actually catching on. Like that word. I threw myself off now. So, this rod was bought, I sold some whiskey and that, freed the funds up to buy this nice Aventus rod for Guru. It is one of my favourite rods. I can handle anything. It's handled decent sea trout, it's handled lovely grayling. I've had roach and dace on it, so hoping to get some tench, maybe even a carp on it this year as well. However, I'm not set up. So I'm going to attempt to do this from scratch. Now the reel is a Daiwa Ninja, and it's a 4000, and that's loaded with £10, what's it called again, drag line. Now this line is, and again listen, we're no sponsored by Guru, this is all bought and paid for. £10 drag line, it's really good line, we use it for the barbel. I keep doing this and I've got one of these here. Sorry. That makes me a proper fly angle or what. So straight off the bat, we get into my wee Sea Trout multifunctional box here. And we have 15 gram and 20 gram. Now I prefer the slightly heavier one, which is a 20 gram Bombarda. That goes on straight to your main line. No pressure gordon. Feed that right through. And then what we like to do, just to protect the knot, multicoloured beads. Sea Trout, you've got to go with blue, aren't you? A wee bead. I think Alex, you were using float stops at one point, weren't you? And then I think my swivels are in my wee fancy Oh, don't need that many for sure. A couple of swivels are required. Alex will need to tell me what size they are.
Small.
Small. Size, I'm sure we're size 8s or 10s, were they? Smaller than that. 12 maybe. So your preferred knot. Tie that on. I use a blood knot. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Back through the hole. Squirmy spheres, look away now.
Oh, that put people off their dinner, that did.
Yep. Then nip that wee tag end off. So there you go, that's your bombarder on the main line. Just like that. 20 gram bombarder. Wee bead of your choosing, float stop if you prefer, onto what we think's a size 12 swivel. And that's the first of 2 swivels. So we put that aside, and now we go to the sharp end. So this is a well used spool of £7 fluoro. So I always go an arm's, 2 arms length. A wee pack of treble hooks. Now, as I said, this is how we do it. I have used single hooks in the past. That's a size 10 treble. Now, that goes on first. With this rig it's important you put this on first, otherwise you won't be able to tie it. Well, you probably could, but I certainly can't. So the same blood knot. 7. Squirmy spheres, look away now. Too quick, Alex. You know I take forever to set up. Right, so that's on there, just nice trim mat tag end. Now this is a bit people ask the most questions of. What is a knotless knot? Now we're wanting to put a hook where my thumb is roughly. You can put it as close together as you want, depending on which size of mackerel strip, a bait, sand deal you want to use. But roughly I'm looking for about that. So it's about 4 inches, 8 inches if you're a guy. So we want a single hook in here somewhere. These are size 10s, wide gape that we use for the barbel. I think do the job. So the knotless knot, sorry I've got a runny nose, there's your size 10 wide gape. You take the other end of this treble hook, the line the treble hook's attached to, and we slide this single hook down to the treble. So you want the back of the hook to run along the line, like so. So I'd like that a wee bit bigger. Right, so this is where it might be difficult to film. Take the bend in the hook and hold the line there like that, like so. Now you want to wrap the hook round the shank, the line round the shank of the hook, keeping it tight together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You could maybe get 9 or 10, but I'm comfortable with that. Pinch it with your finger and thumb. Take the other end. Is it that way or that way, Alex? I always forget.
Other way.
That way?
Nope.
Other way. Right. Pop the line through. My eyesight's not the best. Keep pinching. Pull all the way through. Don't catch it in your jacket. Pull that tight. And there we have it.
Fucking camera.
It's not the camera, it's the operator. What if we held it against that a bit better? So the reason why I like to leave it a wee bit longer, and I'll show why when we put the bait on. If you're fishing a slightly smaller bait, all you need to do is wrap the line round the hook a couple of times and that'll just shorten it down if need be. But that's probably as long as I would want to do it. So now we need the swivel that meets in the middle. So I don't know what's that, 4 foot roughly. Again, this is all preference, this is just my preference. Purely down to what makes you confident. And there's no right or wrong, this is just how we do it. Keep catching this and this jacket and all that. So another word not required. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nice and strong knots, good strong line. What gives you confidence works. Right, so that's the rig, if you want to call it that. That's probably a bit too long, but okay, so we'll set that aside so I don't kneel on it and pierce my waders, which has been done in the past. So now you get another bit of line. I'll make this bit a wee bit shorter, because that bit was a bit long. Then you get your bombarda end, then this connects the two together. Bob's your uncle, Jessie's your auntie. Now the reason why I adopted this kind of, would you call it, two ideas kind of fused, or two methods fused together. I was down one day just freelining the mackerel strip. You know that way when you're fishing the lure you're covering a lot of water, but then with the freelining the mackerel strip you're not covering as much water. I thought, I wonder about that bombarda. So I think is the traditional way, if you will, Alex, to fish the bombarda with flies.
I don't know if traditional and bombarda go together, to be honest. But aye.
Now, is that not what it's usually designed with sea trout in it? It's a bombarda and a fly, if you will. So then you get your rig end swivel. And then you join it all together. That's you. Now, as I say, this isn't a we're right, you're wrong, this is how you should fish this way. So don't all you keyboard warriors start rattling your keyboards after a couple of beers, you know, you're doing that wrong, you're doing that wrong. This is what works for us. It might work for somebody else. It might not. But
However, that's
a dodgy swivel. Right, I'll take this opportunity to shorten that.
Let me cut the onions.
No.
That's good, isn't it?
Keep it going, these things happen. You'd rather that happen. Surely I'll agree, you'd rather that happen here than you've got a £6 sea trout attached to the other end.
Where do you buy your civils?
Glasgow Angling Centre. I've caught Alex's bag. It's usually the line that snaps on me, innit? Then this, and I'm here for half an hour. So I just felt as if the mackerel strip could fish it a more effective way. So when I put it together with the bombarder, literally my second day out using it, and angling 365 now, I'll throw a wee video up with the fish I caught with it. It's the biggest sea trout I've ever had. Honestly, I can't believe I've caught this. Easily my biggest sea trout ever. Clyde bolt. I'm absolutely fucking buzzing. 10 minutes I took. Must be about 6-7 £. What a fish. Wow. Can't believe I caught that. I don't know, but please hope that's picking it up. Date one more time. Yeah, absolute bar of silver. Mwah. Wow. So it kind of stuck as a firm favourite method to use.
Stuff the top and run down it.
Yeah. That's a dodgy swivel. Put your rubbish in the bin. Right, let's hope this swivel's alright. I wonder what happened to that swivel. There we go. Now it rang with that one. So there we go. The famous Lombarder. Bead, swivel, swivel. Excuse me, and then your peril rig. Excuse me. And that is that. If he's given me a minute, get this made safe. So that's that. It's very basic setup, minimal equipment, and it's damn effective. Hey Alex, your turn.
The Lombarder. I was a wee bit unsure about it. Not unsure about it, but I just liked the lures. I liked the lures because I felt you hit a lot of fish. I think it was a wee bit more active, it covered more water, but I think with lures you lose more fish than you land. I definitely do anyway. I've not lost a single fish on this Bombarder setup. Not hooked many, but the ones that I have hooked, I've been landed. So there's something in that. And as we've said before in previous videos, it definitely seems to pick out the bigger fish. And if you've watched the Chasing Silver vlog, I think we've had 3 episodes so far, 3 parts so far. That is the aim, that is the goal, is a big fish. We're not really in it for numbers, we're looking for that 5 pound plus fish. And I think this is definitely going to be the best way to do it. Yeah, you don't cover as much water, but it is still quite mobile. You know, you're still in the water, you're still wading, you're still searching. And yeah, the hookup rate and the keeping the fish on definitely is better. Gordon mentioned the rods. I've experimented with a few rods, trying this style over the last couple of sessions. Gordon's definitely sticking with his Aventus 15-foot float, and it does put out a good chuck. He put a photo up the other day of this rod in action, and it certainly compresses. You know, it was bent right to the handle, so it does throw out a decent line. I found with my float rod, I started using the float rod, it didn't quite put the line out that I was hoping, so I've switched to my, I think it's a 1.75 test curve N gauge feeder rod. Still got a bit of length to it. It is 12 foot, and you need that length for the length of the hook. I mean, the length of the hook link when we're fishing. Gordon's is ridiculously long, but I'm fishing, it's 5 foot. It's 5 foot from the hook to that float, so you need that length to keep the bait out of the water during your back cast. So I have a play around. If you ever take this method on, have a play around with the rods, find one that works for you. I wouldn't recommend anything under 10 foot, however. But aye, the Lombarda, famously catching on, new method. Lombarda's out, Lombarda's in. And we're going to go and try and catch a few fish on it. Well, I am anyway. You'll lose his.
So one thing I like to do, a wee bit of split shot. I think that's a BB. That just gets the mackerel strip down into the bite zone, if you will. Now I keep my mackerel strip in a wee Ziploc bag. Now to the wife's delight, I'll defrost herring, mackerel in the sink. I'll get one of my boys' meal prep trays for these old bodybuilding malarkey stuff that he does. And the tub gets layered with kitchen roll. I'll get it layered with salt and then fillet. Then kitchen roll, salt, fillet, salt, kitchen roll. And I'll just keep layering it up. And yeah,
Like a cake.
like a cake. I think you met someone in the garage the other day that said they left it a few days and it was a bit stiff. Again, it's preference. I've had some of these mackerel strips. That's a bit of herring. The fish I caught in the last video was on a bit of mackerel strip from the flounder video back in January. Once you salt it, it does keep for a long time. It's a very versatile bait. In terms of hooking, I'll go once through there. Get the treble, one treble, one hook of the treble through there, and then that's that. Now, you get a lot of nipping and not a lot of hookups. So your best friend in this situation is a wee pair of scissors, and I like to cut a point. So that when your fish is nipping, the chance of your hookup is greater than that if you had a longer piece. And that is what's been working. Now we've had herring strip, mackerel strip, bluey, all works. And to be honest, a lot of this is our leftover pike bait for the winter that we didn't do a lot of pike sessions on. So again, rather than bait sitting in the freezer all year to your next pike session, it's working for us for the sea trout. Obviously the conger fishing and such have you, but that is the mackerel strip, or herring strip in this case. And I think we're going to go with the Lombarda setup.
That's what it's called from now on.
That's what we're going to call it from now on. I've renamed it. And it is one of their rigs. Your purists will turn their nose up at it, but I couldn't care less what you think. Like, if you love your fly fishing, brilliant. If you love your lure fishing, brilliant. But this works for us, and we're happy with how we fish. That said, we do want to progress this vlog from this, which Alex stated, we believe this will catch us the big fish. But it doesn't mean we don't want to catch one on the lures and the fly as well. That's my wee personal goal for this summer, like I did last year. Get one in all three methods, which I did last year, and I'd like to do it this year, but with bigger fish. So I hope that meets the needs of those who have asked kindly for us to do this sort of video. It's not something we're used to doing or plan to do all the time, but as I said, you've asked. I hope this ticks the boxes for you. And until the next time, thanks for watching.
Spring's here, springtime. Definitely springtime, it's absolutely stunning. Flowers are out, yellow fields, yellow gorse, it's sunny. It's still a bit cold though, it is a bit cold. But springtime means one thing, well it means two things. Sea trout, which we've covered quite effectively. But really, tench time, Tinca time, Tinca tails time. So Tinca tails, if you're not familiar with the concept, we started a couple of years ago. And tench fishing in Scotland is something that we don't really have much of, and they don't get very big. So we've set a target of £6 for our sort of little vlog on tench fishing. We've come relatively close. Gordon, he'll tell you numerous times throughout this video how big his tench was. And it was only £0.5 short, but it was short. It was still, he's going like that as if to say, tell them that he's going to throw a picture. They know you're going to throw a picture up. But yeah, £5.5 is the best that we've had so far. £6 tench in Scotland. If you guys down south are watching this, £6 may seem like a doddle to you guys. It's not up here. No, they just don't get to the sizes that they do south of the border, unfortunately. So we're still a wee bit away from that £6. My biggest so far is a £4.10. So it's a wee bit behind Gordon, and it was from this little loch. I love this little loch. There's loads of fish in it, loads of fish. There's some lovely big bream, Gordon's favourite. But there's loads of tench. They're not huge. There might be a £6 in there, we don't know. But there's only one way to find out. That's to get some bait in the water and get some rods in the water. So yeah, tench fishing means bait. Lots of bait. I think their tactics are going to be, well definitely my tactics are going to be 1 rod long, 1 rod short, and we're going to put plenty bait in because this place is stuffed full of all sorts, not just tench, but like I said already, bream, but also roach and rudd, and they'll annihilate any bait that you put in. So we've got loads. We've got enough hemp seed to feed, I don't know, anything that likes hemp seed, tench. We've got some particles in there, some sweet corn. Not a huge amount of sweet corn. We're going to have sweet corn as one of our main hook baits. So we don't want to overfeed with corn, but we will put plenty hemp in. Got stuff left over from the Trent. And then a nice, I've never used this one before, but it looks the business. It's a nice fine Method mix from Mainline. And it says tench on the packet, so that's good enough for me. And some pellets in there. Pellets just help maybe bind the balls that we're maybe going to feed on our short line. So yeah, let's get this mixed up. You know what, I'm just going to go all out, I think, a bit of everything. So start with the dry mix. You know what, it's all going in. Whack that in there. And we'll go. How many pellets? You want the whole bag in, or
No,
half to start?
half to start.
We'll top that up later
If I
on.
remember right for the video, that is really sticky.
Sticky stuff.
That's
Yeah.
sandy.
So mix that dry stuff up first. I think we need more pellets though. I think the ratio is slightly out. Nah, we'll leave it. And then yeah, get some hemp in. I'm going to go quite heavy on the hemp. Right, that's all going in there. Very heavy on hemp. We'll leave these 2 tins for later. We'll get some particles in. Not too much on the particles, I don't think. All sorts of grains and whatnot in there. We'll go half a tin of particles. This will get messy. I've not added any water to this at all. It is just the liquid that's in the tins. But we will need to add a bit of water to that. Yeah, we've got some, I think somebody gave us this, some tiger nut liquid attractant. Will we throw it in? Why not? How much do we put it in? About that much. I'm a big believer in ground bait's ground bait. It doesn't really matter, does it? Obviously people have got their preferences, their favourites, but just throw it on. That is sticky. And we want it to form nice sticky balls. It'll probably dry out a little bit, so we might need to add a little bit of water into that later. I'm going to put some corn in it as well, not a huge amount of corn, just a little bit. And that'll work for our Method mix as well. So it'll bind into nice balls, it'll bind on the Method feeder quite nicely as well. And that's enough to get started, I reckon. I'm going to spawn out quite a bit of this because I'm kind of hoping to bag up on some bream through the night. Hopefully get some tench through the night as well, but there's some lovely bream in here and they're quite nice to catch from this style of venue. So yeah, half of that will be going out into the middle. And then we'll just dust that with a bit of corn. Hook baits, we've got, like I said already, corn, but we've got a few other bits and pieces. One of my favourite tench baits is a worm kebab dendrobina. These are large dendrobinas, absolutely hundreds of them. So we'll get some chopped worm put into our sort of mix later on as well. Basically just a bit of everything. No, not too fussy, throw it all in. And hopefully we'll get this first session of 2025, first tench session of 2025 off with a bang. Right, let's get this in the water. Right, rods are out. Might be getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but keeping it as going in. It's often described as bad luck to put it in before you catch the first fish. But I think we're getting fish. At least I hope we're getting fish. A few sticks going on here though, that's the only problem. I need to rethink.
Tench fishing's alright, isn't it? In all seriousness, one of the reasons why I like coming tench fishing the night before is simply because you're here for the crack of dawn when it's Tinca time, really, innit? It's also quite good tonight because the Miami Grand Prix is just about to start, I know. Grand Prix, fishing, beer, couple of bags of nuts there. What's not to like? Would be nice to get a tench this year. I didn't get one last year. I had to pinch one off him. So, how are we approaching this? Well, Alex touched on the baits, but I'm going to tell you a quick story. Monday night, definitely tench fishing, Alex, aye. Want me to order some bait? Aye. What bait am I ordering? Make sure it's method mix. I'm going to fish a method feeder. Right. Pack light, he says. Right, okay. So I literally brought, where is it? I packed that away. It's a wee pouch, method feeders, hook links, that's it. Nothing else. Nice light backpack. Gets here. Alex is fishing the cage feeder and cage feeder and helicopter rig. So he's fishing the cage feeder and helicopter rig. He's fishing the he's fishing, sorry, window feeder. Not cage, same thing really, innit? Hodge of bait. And one at distance on corn and one close in on corn. I'm one at distance and then one in the corner. Both on corn. Alex is telling me that the worms might attract the wee perch just now. So we'll hang off with the worms. So if you'll excuse me, the Grand Prix is about to start.
Was a fish. Couple of line bites, and that is the first proper take. Didn't quite hook up though, unfortunately. Oh, it's a boat rig. It's a boat rig, so they're supposed to hook themselves. That one did not hook itself. But yeah, we've switched from, I think Gordon's done the same, switched from corn to good old worm kebab. Here linked, look, that's maybe what's happened. One of the worms is masked the hook. Oh no, it's not. No, it has. Yeah, it's become a little bit untidy. So maybe that's what's happened there. So I say it's a boat rig, but it's a relatively short helicopter rig. Could maybe shorten that even more, but we'll leave it as it is just now. Fished with a window feeder. I'm filling that window feeder with chopped worm and the ground bait mix that we made up earlier. But yeah, hopefully the chopped worm will bring on. It's a bit smellier. Maybe a wee bit better in the dark. And that was the fish, that was the rod fished at distance. So I'm going to stick this back up. I think we're fishing at 16 wraps, so stick it back up. Get a fresh load of worms on and get it right back out there. But that was a proper run. There's fish there. It's taken a while, it's taken about 2 hours, but...
Exactly 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours. 11:10. It's going to be a long night if the fish don't turn up because it's bloody freezing. It might be spring-like during the day, but it's dropped down to, it must be about 2 degrees. Very cold. Right, let's get this sorted and get it back out. So we're sticking up for the exact same reason we do on the Trent for the barbel. We want to be hitting the same spot every time we cast, and we cannot leave the line in the clip because tench will tear off quite quickly, especially when it's dark. You cannot see anything, you're just chucking this into the darkness, so the line in the clip definitely helps. And then what we're doing here is just on a quick link, a quick stop hair link, just threading sections of worm. You just take the quick stop off the needle. That just gives it quite a neat presentation. And then I've added some chopped worm into the ground bait, so we'll just fill the... I'll bring that up here. That's just the ground bait mix from earlier, but there's a lot of chopped worm added into that. It just gets pressed into the window feeder. And that should hopefully go right back out on that same spot. Assuming I can avoid the big dead tree in the water. Same direction. Fire it out, hit the clip. Hopefully on the money. So what I think we'll do now is, if we get another bit of interest, get the spawn back on and get some more bait out there. I was wanting to wait until there's a sign of some fish before putting too much bait out. So we'll see what happens on that one. I've only just put that back out there and it went again. But it doesn't look like the fish has hooked itself this time either. It's frustrating, that is. I know there's fish there, but that's just not hooking up as it should do. Usually the bream just inhale it though, they're usually pretty clumsy. I'm going to leave that I'll leave it for a couple of minutes before recasting. But I think we'll need to get the spawn on and get some more bait out there. Well, eventually hooked something. Been getting finicky little furry bites all night. And we've got the culprit, or at least one of them anyway. We'll have a look at him. I love these fish. And that isn't a bad one. Excuse me, a jiggle a rod. Now that is a rud. And it's a rud of about a pound by the looks of it. He's lovely. Not the bream we were expecting. Not the tench we were hoping for. But that is probably one of the nicest rudd I've had in a wee while. Lovely. Stunning fish. You not quite get the right colours in the dark. But we'll get them to keep there, we'll have a look at them tomorrow morning. But it's definitely a rudd. There's a yellow eye, so it's not a red eye. It's got an upturned mouth. And it's got a dorsal fin that's set quite far back. It might be a bit of a hybrid. We'll tell better tomorrow. Nice one. Get a photo of that.
False alarm.
Oh, it is so cold. It's 4:30 in the morning. It's been freezing all night. But we finally got one of bear with me. We finally got one of the guys we're after. He's like the liveliest bream you've ever seen in your life. Didn't quite show up in the numbers earlier in the night. They fight when they're on the bank. Right, we'll get them in the net. Well, it's taken them all bloody night, but the bream have finally turned up. That was an absolute rip-roaring run, that was. Oh, nice looking little fish. He's in. Nice one. Let's go have a look at him. He's nice. Well, it might be an illusion, that it's starting to get a wee bit. I'll start again. It's early. It might be an illusion, the fact there's a bit of light in the sky now, but it does feel a little bit, I'm not going to say warmer, but a little bit milder. And it's nice to finally get one of the target species, or number 2 of our target species. I had an idea they would turn up eventually. Nice one. We'll get it. We've definitely got the bream feeding now. Just need some tench to turn up. I'm sure they will once it warms up a little bit. Oh, right, recap. Not what we anticipated at all last night. We knew it was going to be quite chilly. It was bloody freezing. It must have got down to close to 0. And with it being pretty warm lately. It was a bit of a shock to the system. I've still not warmed up yet. I'm hoping it starts to... I hope the sun comes out, warms up a little bit. And I think the fish have been, or the tench anyway, have been affected by that sudden drop in temperature because they're just not interested. However, I did manage a couple of fish. Got some nice bream in the net. Not sure about the weight, but I think they're probably around about 5 or 6 pounds. They're quite nice. Yeah, and a nice little rudd. Aye. The rudd, I think those rudd were playing havoc with us both earlier on last night. We're getting lots of little sort of pernickety runs. Bringing your 3 grains of corn back and only 1 grain's left. But it was good to get the bream eventually. It took until in the early hours of this morning for them to actually show up. And they've disappeared again. But at least I've caught fish. Gordon, however, he's been resigned to cameraman today. Although he slept through like 2 of my fish, I think. I had to go and wake him up. Bye. Tinca Tales 2025. Get off to a bit of a stuttery start. Hopefully with the temperature rising through the morning, it'll switch the fish on. We'll see.
Have I got it? Time is 11:10. As we said, one of the reasons why we come the night before is so we're here for the crack of dawn. Well, the crack of dawn has came and went. And about an hour ago, I got my first proper run. I had a few liners early last night whilst watching the Grand Prix, which has been the highlight of this trip. Couple of liners on each rods, but that run I got was a good solid run at distance, so I put both my rods at distance with chopped worm and that mix that you saw Alex put together. But I was just saying there to Alex, he's kind of nodding on and off. I think this is the worst session we've ever had here, like just in terms of fish in general. Roach, rudd, bream, perch, and obviously tench is fish that we've had on sessions over the years gone by. But I remember the first Tinca Tales season, Alex, started off pretty grim, didn't it? This one seems to be starting off the same way. But aye, even the Osprey arrived and he left with nothing. So, I don't know how long we'll give it. Usually we give it to kind of mid-afternoon and then get home for tea time. So if the alarms stay silent, I think that's what we'll do. Unless Alex has any other bright ideas up his sleeve. He's nodding his head. Right. It's tough going.
So there we go. Not quite what we planned. Not quite what we planned in terms of the species. Not quite what we planned in terms of the weather. However, it looks lovely. And it is lovely. But it's deceiving. That wind is still pretty cold. And I still cannot believe how cold it was last night. And that is, that's getting the blame for the lack of tench. But it's still early, it's only early May. We'll stick at it. We only get a short window for tench, we don't really spend a lot of time targeting them. But we'll hopefully get at least another 2 or 3 sessions on them. And whether that 6-pounder or not turns up, well, let's just start with the fish.
Yeah, right. Welcome back, obviously. Now, for those who have watched this channel for a number of years, there's a couple of videos that might spring to mind when I start talking about what we're doing. And they involve fly fishing for brown trout. I don't think we've actually accomplished that, have we, Alex? We've yet to do it. So this year, we've gave ourselves a bit more of a chance by starting earlier. So we're still in the, this is April, isn't it? Tail end of April, early spring. And we're back on the river. A different river from the ones we've fished in the past. Now if you watched a million casts, I hooked and lost a sea trout. I hooked and lost a trout, a brown trout, on the river. I don't think Alex has came in to touch with anything. So much so, driving here today, he says to me, I've got blank written the other day. Now that changed, I'm mentioning that for a reason, because we met a gentleman in the car park, Richard, who gave us a good bit of intel, which is a lot of help. But it's helped me because it's helped shoot his confidence up. So I'm never confident in the fly, but I don't know, with the day I'm feeling confident, and I'm going to stick with two methods. I'm starting off with the streamer on a sinking tip, and Alex is doing the upstream nymphing. So we'll both enter the river, he'll walk upstream and I'll be walking downstream. Hopefully that'll cover both, or complement both styles, and produce a fish or two. I'm hoping, my dream of fly fishing is to get land the dry fly. So I've got the floating line there, I've got the dry flies there as well. So hopefully later on, if the weather plays ball, we get a wee hatch on, match a hatch and all that part. See where we can go with this video. So fingers are crossed, toes are crossed. I'll be happy for him not to have a Raji and me not to have a Raji day and we thought, because that's usually what happens. So with that said, let's get these waders wet and the fly in the water. Alex has just come over and said, how do you feel how you're fishing? See, because this is so alien and so new to us, or me anyway, you just question, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, see until you get that first sign of a fish to give you the confidence. Now Alex took my rod and just offered a couple of wee tips on where I was going wrong. And you know what I'm going to say, don't you? He only went and hooked and lost a fish whilst we were in the midst of chatting, whilst he was showing me where I was going wrong. I think one thing I wasn't doing was mending the line. So the fact that we've had a sign of a fish tells me I've got the right. Now I know some folk are going, that's not a fly, that is a big streamer. That's what I'm going for just now. And then I'll maybe change to a team of flies. That's how Alex is, well, a team of nymphs in it you're fishing. That's what some of the advice has been given. So, try a couple of different methods today, but as I say, I'm hoping later on to maybe get a dry fly. I'd love to get one on that. But for now, focusing on this streamer lure. Big bit of fluff. Hopefully. I can tick this brown trout off the to-do list.
I'm almost certain that was a fish I hooked on Gordon's rod there, albeit briefly. Even if it wasn't, I'm going to tell him it was. But aye, I've just fished up this first run. Team of nymphs, 3 nymphs with an indicator. And you know what? I felt quite confident. I've quite enjoyed it. The line's going through nicely. I'll be back. Well, that was interesting. A little bit of drama there. As Gordon mentioned earlier on, we spoke to boy Richard on the way down. And I think he's contacts on social media. So Gordon gets a message just after I'd get snagged up there.
Help!
Help! Apparently Richard had a salmon on, but he'd get caught in a snag. So Gordon's not the quickest on earth. I'm not much faster, but he had the rods, raced upstream. He eventually caught up, and right enough, lovely big spring salmon, still attached to the lure, but caught round a stick in the middle of the river. He's a madman. He was planning on going in after it, and I mean in after it. It's deep, a deep pool. He was going to swim for it. Luckily for the fish get off eventually, and he didn't have to go in the water. But aye, April, springtime, and a salmon on this river is not the most common occurrence. But I am back, like I said, my setup, back to business. I am fishing my usual sort of go-to. I say usual, we never really do this, we don't really know what we're doing. But this is the style that I'm sticking with to try and gain a little bit of confidence. And when I spoke to you last, I'd just finished working up the first pool, and I felt quite confident. No, I think it was floating through nicely, it was just bouncing bottom. There was a nice pace on the river, it was clear, I was casting nice, no tangles. So far so good. Set up, 4-weight rod, 4-weight line, team of 3 flies, under an indicator. Miraculously enough, I've not had many tangles with this. On the point, little sort of hare's ear variant, at least I think that's what it is. Second dropper, absolutely no idea what it is, but I like the look of it. And then on the top dropper, little black spider. And yeah, fished under an indicator. We are now half a mile further upstream than we should have been after chasing that fish. But this little bit looks nice. There's a nice pool just below us here where Gordon can put the streamer through. I'll try and wade mid-river and get underneath these trees up here. See if we can get ourselves a fish. I can see him getting a salmon on that. Imagine that. Well, if there was a sign that I needed to get my confidence back out the trees, that's it. He's only a wee, but you know what? I don't care. On the point fly, little brownie. Hey! Right, now for a bigger one. No longer upstream fishing. Just a team of 3 traditional wet flies down and across. This is number 2. It does seem a little bit better as well, so we're going in the right direction. It's a grayling. It's a grayling. Have a look at this guy. Yeah. Ain't no brownie, but I'll take him. In desperate need of those 2 fish there. Alright, the first trout was only wee. This one isn't a trout, but he is slightly better sized. It does happen with these fish, they're pretty wiry. Cute though over the water all the time though. Lovely little fly caught grayling. If that was a trout, we'll get him back. If that was a trout, I'd have said, for me, that'd have been mission accomplished. But it's a bloody grayling. But the method's working. Found a lovely run here, kind of deepens off on the far bank. Definitely worth a shot later on tonight as well, I think. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep switching between the down and across method and the upstream nymph, depending on the pool that we come to. Some pools will be better suited to the upstream nymphing. This one definitely suited to down and across. Nice one.
Sit rip, Alex, brown trout, and a wee grayling. Alex decided he was going for a pee. He was out of earshot, couldn't see him, and I only went and caught. It'd be wrong to call it a trout, would it? A par, salmon par. Alex, can I maybe thought trout par? Whatever you think, pop it in the comments, but here's a wee clip. And it took this wee tiny, we'll see if Alex can zoom in on that. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know what it's called. Wee pink thing with a gold bead. Now there's a gentleman that sent these flies last year, Angus. He is an all-out fly angler, fly fisherman. So Angus, that wee fish was just for you. I'm not going to lie, I was quite chuffed. I know it's only small, but hey, when you're trying to get your first fish or anything, it's always good just to get that first one. So that, no, I'm not going to class that as my first. It's that sign, it's that bit of confidence in what you're doing as you're doing right. Now this setup is exactly the way Angus had messaged me the other night. Fish this across, swing it round and be patient, and it's worked. So we're on the move again. We've had our lunch. We're going to go back down and fish the pool that we tried this morning. So aye, we seem to be heading in the right direction, albeit slowly, but we ain't ones for giving up, that's for sure.
Right, change of tack again. I said earlier on that for each pull I'm maybe going to change methods slightly. Back on the upstream indicator, just because further up here there's a bit of really quick water, and I think this sort of upstream method would suit that better. I'm really starting to lose hope here, but I'll stick at it. Yeah, quickly work our way up through here. See what happens. Fuck it, I've had enough.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Just before they started that, I could see that happening. It's getting to that point of the day where you start getting tired, you start making mistakes. It's not been a great day. But I've had a few wee par. I had one for this wee pool just before Alex headed off downstream there, but this is one of the ones that you quit, head up the road, start again another time, or do you stick it out? It's 5 o'clock. I don't know. I think I might have my work cut out convincing him to stay. I was kind of hoping to get one of the wee par to prove that I can catch fish. No, it's bad when Alex says he would rather be dead baiting for pike. We'll keep trying. Right, we've had enough. He's feel like I love the fly fish, Nick. Sorry, I'm laughing at him, but aye. I think Alex hit the nail on the head there. As we were walking out the river there to decide whether we're going home or whether we're going to go up and try this other pool. Just don't think we commit to this often enough to figure out the do's and don'ts and the flies to use and when to use them, what pools. Just there's too much you need to get right, and it's tough. And when you're not catching your desired target, you know, you're setting out for, that goal you set yourself, and you keep failing, it's hard to keep the confidence up. Confidence was high this morning and it just dwindles away and and then you just think, what the fuck are we doing, man? And obviously the rain, this has been forecast all day, but it's just coming 6 o'clock and it looks like it's on for the night. So that kind of ultimately made the decision. Plus my wife's got a new wash machine she needed fitted. So to keep my life sweet, when I got my road and fit that, get back out fishing through the week, I think. See you in the next one, but I'll not be fly fishing on a river, that's for sure.
Welcome back to Tinca Tales. Tinca Tales on Angling 360, episode 2 of season 3, I think. Could be 4, but I think it's 3. So yeah, episode 2. What happened in episode 1? Not a lot really. A couple of bream. The Tench hadn't quite woken up, and no wonder, because it was bloody freezing that night. However, this whole week, it's a week later, almost exactly a week later, and it has been lovely all week. The wind direction's changed, it's now a southwesterly, and it's just, I've turned up today and straight away feeling a lot more confident. We've kind of moved round the loch a little bit to probably our preferred area, and we've decided, after much debate, that we're just going to go all out today. In episode 1, we got a small window, I think it was within 45 minutes, that I got those 3 bream, and then nothing. We did put a bit of bait in, but I don't think we put enough bait in to hold them there and to keep them interested. So they came in, they hoovered up, we snuck a couple, and they disappeared. We're going to spom in a ton of bait, right into the middle of the loch. We're going to put all 4 rods on it. Last time we were fishing 1 short, 1 long each. All 4 rods are going to go on this bed of bait. And you know what? We're hoping for, obviously, tench, but we're really kind of going about this style, this method, this approach, because we know there's bream there, and we know that if we put a load of bait in, the chances are they will turn up, and it will keep us busy and hopefully warmer through the night. But the tench hopefully will be in on the action as well. So let's get this bait mixed up, get it spommed in. We've got a spom rod each, separate to our fishing rods, so we'll be spomming over the top of the rods that are fishing throughout the night as well. And yeah, all in I think. Big gamble, lot of bait, but it might just work. So, bait. Waste not, want not. We did have a little bit left from last week. So that was stuck in the freezer. There's all sorts in there. So we'll get all that in the mix as well. The amount of bait we've got here from last week shows that we just really didn't feed as much as we could have. Particles. 2.5 litres, mixed particles. There's a load of hemp in there as well. And I think a lot of that should go in. Excuse me. Oh, do we go for it? You know what? Yep, it's all in. Got sticky. I'm making this look difficult.
If I'd have been doing that, you'd have been tearing me a new one.
We got there in the end. Now look at that. Gloopy. It smells actually quite nice. All sorts in there. There's tears, there's barley, there's everything. We'll get that mixed up with last week's leftovers. Now we want this quite gloopy because this is just going in a spom. We don't need to worry too much about making this into balls or anything, so the gloopier the better. So there we go, straight away that's about 4 kilos of bait. Into that we'll add some explosive caster. Says Tench on the packet, good enough for me, yet again. The more I'm putting in here, the more I'm thinking we're either really brave or really stupid. I really don't want to put this in my mouth. Thank you. You know, give me that like 2 minutes ago. Yeah, let's just put half in just now, just to see how it looks. God, I hope the fish are hungry tonight.
Surprised you've not got a couple of onions there and making burgers out of it.
Catch and cook dynamite baits edition. Ah!
That's not why you used to always say to me, mix in small amounts, it's easier.
Aye, but we're going all in this time. Let's get that in first. We've got a wee bit extra we can add to if we need to, but that is loads. 6 kilos of bait. They've not been too precious about it. It's not getting in a feeder. It's just getting out there in a spawn. Once we start putting a feeder mix over the top of it, we'll probably use some of what we've got left here to lighten it up, fluff it up a little bit. Maybe add in some good old Green Giant. None your dynamite corn because it is garbage.
Yes.
So Green Giant all the way for
that.
for that. But yeah, once we actually get a mix in the feeder, it will be a wee bit lighter, a wee bit fluffier, and we'll probably plug it with some, plug it full of chopped worm and things like that. But we've got 2 hours before dark. I want to get all this, or the majority of this, into the loch as quickly as possible. It'll take a bit of time, but hopefully it'll be worth it.
Bream. I've kind of slighted them into. I'm not their biggest fan, but see tonight, I genuinely hope I get a couple. Because from this water they are pretty. No, they're not pretty. They're bloody ugly, but they're not commercial, slimy, grey, no character. No, they've got a bit about them. Now, Tench is the goal. Tench is the work our toes, fingers, everything crossed for. Because we never touched one last week. And as Alex kind of touched on him, I think, don't know whether it would been the first session, maybe a bit lethargic, unsure. Well, you get a bit, I think we got a bit lazy to be fair. I wasn't confident with the method feeder that I had set up. I wasn't fishing, I don't think, as Alex touched on as well, we never put enough bait out. When I was turned up today, determined to catch bream, said nobody. Alex, might you have a run here? Or is it them wee ducklings? I'm going to have to get up here now, aren't I? It was the ducks. She never had dead chicks last week. New life.
I'll take that back now.
Aye.
Stay where you are, stay there.
Aye, so I've had a couple of liners. Alex thinks there's a head of rudd in here. We caught a kind of hybridised rudd roach kind of thing last week, or Alex did. I didn't catch a thing last week. 2 runs I got. So that kind of reflects on the laziness part, that I think we were maybe, I was more guilty than him, to be fair. It's just nice to be out at night again, watching the stars. The Starlink satellites all went by in perfect unison. It was brilliant to see. And just a nice, good kip out in the fresh air. Hopefully got a good kip tonight, I know, but I hope I'm interrupted a few times, to be fair. So we've went all out corn. Got some worms there to chop up. That's my instructions. And we'll get the worms on as it gets dark. So we are not, as we say in most videos, no, we're not professional breamer tench anglers. We dip our toes into various things, fishing wise, and we always do our best. But hopefully we do a lot better than our lazy approach last week. So fingers crossed.
Well, that was definitely a run. Well, it's still there though. No, maybe. Maybe a little rud or something. Nah, nothing there, but that was a bite. That was a bite. Well, get it sticked up right back out on the spot. Didn't take long. I think it might have been a rud though, but hey, it's action. "17 wraps. So sticked up, as always when feeder fishing. Well, should I say, as always when feeder fishing, when you can't actually keep the line in the clip. We said it last week, we say it quite frequently when we're barbel fishing. You need to hit the same spot, and if you can't keep the line in the clip, you need to stick up to get the same distance every time. That reel ain't sounding great, surprise, surprise. So just about 17 wraps, our spod rod wrapped up at 17, so that all that bait is going in the exact spot we want it. All 4 rods in the exact same spot. Obviously Gordon's casting from a slightly different angle than me, but I don't think he's far off 17 wraps either. So yeah, you keep hitting that same spot every single time. Concentrate the fish in that small area, hopefully, and get him competing. So I'm clubbed up, 17, get it baited up, get out. So at the minute, good old green giant. That's the bait of choice, but once that sun goes down, just as we did last time, chopped worm will go on, good smelly nighttime bait. So I'm just using a size 10, not sure what kind of hook it is, but it's a size 10, hair rigged to a quick stop, little bait needle, 3 grains of corn, or maybe 2 or 3 grains, see how many we can get on here. It's a great way of doing it with this quick stop. I'm not liking the look of that one. Pull the needle out, twist the quick stop round, pull it tight, and you've got a really neatly hair rigged 3 grains. And at the minute I'm using a helicopter rig, very short helicopter rig, anti-tangle sleeve just to kick it out away from the feeder, a little twizzled boom, and a window feeder. Now the reason I'm using a window feeder is later on I am going to ram it full of chopped worm just to get that smell in the water. But yeah, corner at the minute, bit of ground bait, and right back out on the spot. The clip's off, rod's in the rest. Tighten up gradually, take that bow out the line. It's not much of a bow, it's very shallow here. But I want a nice tight line here. Fishing boat rigs, that short helicopter rig acts as a boat rig, so nothing finesse here, it's just a quite a dirty way of fishing. But we're using a monkey climber or whatever you want to call it, indicator, and the alarm. And we're back fishing. What a night, stunning, looks fishy. Good, good. Well, I was just thinking about changing baits there to some worm. And I had a wee sneaky margin rod out there. And it's just screamed off, but I think it might be I thought it was a tench with the way the run was, but I think it's a bream. The way it's fighting now, I definitely think it's a bream. Right in at the margins. Oh no, maybe not. No, that might be a tench. I think it was a tench, you didn't know it was hooked. Yeah, it's a tench. I did say to Gordon, I said, I've stuck a wee sneaky margin rod in there. I bet it's going to go. It looks like a nice fish. I bet it's going to go before dark. And it did. This looks quite nice actually. I don't think it's going to be £6. But this is my light outfit. This is only £6 break strain line. Tiny little hook. Nah, he's not as big as I thought he was. Not bad though. It's not bad for the first tench of 2025. Nice one. Let's have a look at him. Well, there we go. Just before dark, as I was hoping for. A lovely tench. I have stuck it on the scales. It's not £6. Of course, it was never going to be £6 from here. But 4.5. My best for Tinca tails. And it's a lovely fish to start me off for this season. I love these fish. Look at the size of the tail on that thing. And unfortunately it's during that weird twilight area, or twilight time, that makes photographing fish quite difficult. But look at that tail. Lovely tench to start. I'll get her in the back in the water.
I don't know if I've managed to miss this, but I've got a mouthful of port scratching, so sorry. I think this might be a wee, if it is anything, it's a wee, one of the rod things. If it is anything, I think I might have actually missed it. Aye, I missed it. Get that straight back out. I literally have just put this rod out on the worm and it's only went and steamed off. A wee beep beep, a wee pause, and you know, that doesn't feel too bad.
We need a net in.
I think we'll need a net. I'll maybe make my way over to the other side. Flying there my rod. Yeah. Is it a bream or a tench? I think I might actually
Stay on that side, stay on the side.
stay on the side, aye. Please. Teamwork and all that.
That does not come on the surface yet.
Eh?
How heavy did it feel?
Felt really heavy.
That heavy?
That heavy. That was the 100% of fish. What happened there? Fuck me, man.
Good?
I am, man. Alex and I are for once working as a team here.
We'll get net this thing.
Aye. However, anyone that knows Alex's reels,
Nah, it's not great. Take a bite with it.
got a wee bonus rod out here, we're taking bites. Turns each on the bites. I was just sticking up after my bit of a mishap with a bit of weed.
That's a fiddler.
I don't care. Is that a tench?
Tench.
Yes. I'll take that. Ah, thank God. Right, well, we're going to get a closer inspection. Oh, there's absolute scenes there. The tench, the wee margin tench rod went, then my other rod went. Alex said that. Realised we'd definitely had a tench on. Put the other rod down with the bream on it. Crossed the lines, we lost the bream, but hey, this is Tinca tails after all. My heat of the fish. I always get the wee lively ones, don't I? There we go. A wee Tinca in miniature. Couple of pounds. But you know what? That's the first tench I've had. Didn't get a tench last year. Blanked last week. So I'm more than happy with it. Get Alex to put him in the keep net. After I got a wee photo with it. Happy days.
Well, there you go. What a difference a week makes. We're not doing much different in terms of in close in the margins than we were less than a week ago. And we've had 2 fish already. I said earlier on that this week it's been lovely, it's been warm, it's been in the 20s or low 20s for the majority of the week. The wind direction's changed. So I was ever so slightly more hopeful turning up today than we were on the last session. And it was confidence well justified. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to keep fishing that one rod in the margins just to see if the fish continue to feed through the night. I don't know if they will. we've put a load of bait out there, so we'll keep fishing over it in the hope that the bream turn up. So if we can make this into a doubler, Tinca tails and a little bit of a bream tails as well, then why not? So we'll keep fishing over the bed of bait we've put out. But if nothing really develops throughout the night, first thing in the morning, every single rod is coming into the margins, 100%. Yeah, off to a great start. Let's hope the bream turn up now, and then a wee flurry of tench first thing in the morning would just be the icing on the cake. I don't know, might get a few tench through the night, you just don't know. I think Gordon's brain's starting to do somersaults. He's thinking of magic margin mixes and playing around with the ground bait we've got left. I think he's soaking some pellets at the minute. I don't even think he's waiting till morning. He's bringing one of his rods into the margins straight away. Yeah, why not? And it's warmer so far. So far it is warmer than it was last time.
Right, as Alex said, I was conjuring up some sort of concoction in my head, so this is what we've come up with. We've got a mixture of pellets there with their cheese and garlic infused. Let's put in a sprinkling of corn, sweet corn, and the last of the ground bait, that caster explosion grid stuff. Can't mind what it's called. Explosive caster. That stuff. There's a wee bit left in there. So, and some of the old tiger and corn sweet liquid, super attractant, all singing and dancing, PVA friendly, all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is, if you remember the Tinca tails a couple of years ago, we made up some balls like so, and we lobbed in to the margins 3 or 4 of these balls. We fished over the top and we got ourselves some tench. So as we've got the wind rod between us, a wee bonus rod in the margins, and it's produced 2 tench, I thought, well, rather than going all in with the long rods and hoping for bream tench to pick it up at distance, I'm going to bring one of my rods in and cover both. Both options. If any of you know a guy called Tony Dunn from Ireland, who's a mad pike fisherman and also an equally mad as daft as a brush tench angler, he done a cracking video on his tench mix. Bloody hilarious. How you've got to treat your bait and your balls with love. I highly recommend you go and watch it, it's a good giggle. I've just got some, I don't know, would you say tennis ball size there, Alex? Some used to have worked all week. I'll keep that a wee bit for my feeder. I'll go and lob a couple of them into the margins on my side. See if I can't get a tench on one of my own rods. That rod is a team effort rod, but it's always nice to get a fish on your own rod, isn't it? Because his reels are garbage. Right, so although Alex is on the other side of this long weed bed, I'm going to lob mine in on one side, as I said. So I'll be underarm lob, just beyond there. Pretty happy with that. Now what rod will I do? That's the next question. I'll bring this rod in here one, that'd be the most brainy thing to do.
The obvious choice.
It's obvious. That's late. I thought I was into a lump of weed again. There's something small rattling on the end of this. Excuse me. Taser just trying to get a wee bit of shit out of there. I think it's one of the wee mad rod. Nah, I think we'll swing this in. There we go.
Oof.
A lump in it. Is that a wee...
A roach.
Is that a roach?
That's a roach.
Is it?
A lovely roach.
It's a lump of a roach.
Let's have a wee look at him. What up?
There's a rod in that, isn't there?
Don't know.
A bit of gold in it.
Have a look.
Right, you're the expert. I would say there's a bit of rod in that. And away! That's not what we're after, Alex. There was a duck messing about near my line and it was actually setting my alarm off. But this one screamed off again. It wasn't the duck. I've got no idea what this is. It could be one of the weed fish again. Surely no. Right, there's a fish out there.
That's a bream. I'll get the net. Yeah.
Ten past 3 in the morning.
That's a nice looking fish. Take that one. Go and look at him.
We were just trying to discuss there, recall there, what my PB bream is. I think it was about £5. This is 5.9. So this could be a PB. I hate these bloody things. Like I don't, see, to be fair, these ones are always quite nice.
Get some photos.
How's that? £5.9 was it? and a tench, and a wee roach. I'm doing better than I did last week. Where's 40, Alex?
It doesn't get more tenchy than this, does it? What a morning. The margin rod does it again. I've just recast it actually. A couple of liners on it. I'll put a fresh bait. Tench number 3's come along. We just had a little hybrid there as well. So you guys, probably the smallest of the 3, but tench is a tench. Now I feel like I'm here. And these came undone. Little male fish. Lovely. This one's done me right in the weed. Screaming run right into the weed though. Just ease them out. Whoa, that was a nice fish. Didn't think I was going to get him out there for a bit. Get that net, please. So, it's not as big as I thought it was. I thought it was a better one. Another baby Tinca. Pristine though. Well, finally, my distance rods. I've been fishing over that bait for God knows how long. Have went. It's in the weed though. I think it's a small tench. Yeah, small tench I reckon. I was just rebaiting that rod that I've just had the fish on. Slightly better than the last one. We're bagging up. I wish they were a bit bigger though.
Well, starting to dislike the weed. That's another fish lost to it. That was 100% a Tench run on my, as Alex called it, my mad concoction of cheesy garlic sweet corn balls. There's a wee bit of fizzing I noticed. A couple of liners. I thought I've not put any bait in since early this morning, so I put in another ball, recast with corn this time, and it screamed off, but as you saw, I get caught up in the weed. Bastard. Well, as you can see, it's the morning, but it's 10 to 11. And in the early hours of this morning, we did have a flurry of runs, we lost some fish. Alex landed a small tench and a bream. And then we thought, right, maybe it's going to kick off now. No. Absolutely nothing. So needless to say, 2 years got a good kip. But what I've done is I've gave up with the distance rod. I still had a couple of big cheesy garlic balls left. So I lobbed them into each margin, left and right, and brought my distance rod in and just lobbed it beyond the reed line there. Kind of last gasp hope, but if my memory serves me right, 10 to 11. That big bright thing in the sky. This place just dies comes lunchtime. But it looks like it's died earlier than usual. I don't think you've had a touch, a line or an end, have you? So that's weird. It's just amazing how your confidence is away up there when you start a session. Just do it. But I'm not holding out much hope now. Might get the odd wee surprise tench, I don't know. It's been a tough start. Although episode 2 has been a little more rewarding than episode 1 for myself anyway. And as Alex commented earlier, Every time we fish this swim, he always catches a 4-pounder. So we're angling 360 traditional. I'll throw them pictures up. You always try and keep your hopes up, don't you? But, I'm not sure.
I think it's come off in the weed. Almighty drop back bite there. I think it might still be there. We're in a huge amount of weed. So I don't know if I've just still got the huge amount of weed left. No, I think it's there. I just gave up my baited area and absolutely launched this as far as I possibly could into the middle of the loch. You know, we've got a fish. And it looks like it's a tench as well. Who'd have thought it? I thought I had our chance. You know, it is another one. Wow, I was not expecting that, but yeah, as far as I possibly could. Single bait, tiny little bit of bait and feeder. You know, it's picked another one up. I think that's number 6 for the session. Number 6 for Tench. Got a wee chunk. There's the sun. Come on here and have a wee look at this one. Lovely, fin perfect. Little Tinca. Really chunky little fish. Like around its belly. I think she's been on that bait all night. And maybe just moved off. Long way from that 6-pounder though, long way. Right, I think we've had all we're going to get out of this session. We probably could stay a little bit and pick up the odd little fish throughout the day, but it's been a long night and we want to get home for dinner. So, let's have a look. Complete, well not a complete contrast to last time, but the bream. They did not like our offerings, plenty of it as well, but they just didn't show up. So it's led us to believe a couple of things, or to think a couple of things. Either they might be thinking about spawning, or they just might not be here anymore. The last big bream, or big bag of bream we had from here was years ago, it was 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah, they might just have come to the end of their sort of cycle. But we've got a few fish in the net. Let's have a look at what we did get. Done alright, to be fair. I think we've got about 7 tench in there. They're all small apart from 1 or 2. A couple of bream and a couple of little hybrids as well. So yeah, let's have a look at these. There we go. That ain't bad for what started off as a little bit of a tough session. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tench. Lovely 4.5 pounds. fish of the session. Got his lovely bream. A couple of these wee guys who managed to actually get the bait and the hook in their mouth, but they've been a bit of a pain today. But still, lovely looking little fish. I'm over the moon with that. That is good, considering how bad episode 1 was. I quite like that. Let's get back to the water.
Daft Tench.